Welcome back to World Insight. For our next story, we turn to Russia. Ever since Dmitry Medvedev was sworn in as president, critics have been looking for signs of a strain in his partnership with Vladimir Putin. In recent weeks, Medvedev has surprised many with actions and moves that appear intended to distance himself from Putin and his management of the economy. One is the former president and now prime minister. The other is the former deputy prime minister and now the president. A series of disagreements show their differences. So are the friends turning into potential foes?
They are friends. They are partners. They are brothers. And when they appear together, Russia rocks. Dmitry Medvedev has been by Vladimir Putin's side for most of his professional life. He was there when Putin held posts in the St. Petersburg mayor's office in 1992. He was there when Putin became president in 2000. And he was there when Putin needed a trusted man for Gazprom. As he took over Putin's post as president, Medvedev vowed to pursue his predecessor's path.
We have a chance to move forward as we have moved in the last years, and I am convinced we have to choose this very path.
But what if there is nothing at the end of the path? Last Friday, at a meeting in Irkutsk, Medvedev criticized officials for their handling of the economic crisis.
Rules for allocating state guarantees were sanctioned only a few days ago. We are working very slowly, unacceptably slowly, for a crisis.
Though the president did not mention Putin by name, some Western observers see the move as a dig at the prime minister. Again and again, Medvedev's moves have surprised many in recent weeks. He combated Putin's cronyism with a list of 1,000 candidates for government positions. He sacked 4 governors in a demonstration of his ability to take tough decisions. On February the 9th, the Washington Post published an article called "Stepping Out from Putin's Shadow." It says, with a series of careful moves, Dmitry Medvedev has begun to shed his image as the obedient sidekick of Vladimir Putin. But Chinese analyst Wang Lijiu doesn't think so.
When it comes to criticizing Russia, Western media tend to lose their objectivity. Ever since Medvedev took office, there have been speculations that Medvedev could one day edge away from his mentor's path. But I think it is impossible, especially in terms of real strength.
Medvedev is surrounded by people from Putin's old pals. Among the appointees inside the Kremlin are Vladislav Surkov, deputy director of the presidential administration, and Nikolai Patrushev, the former director of the Federal Security Service and now the secretary of the National Security Council. A look at the cabinet shows who really runs the country. It includes Deputy Prime Minister Sergei Ivanov, a former defense minister, Igor Sechin, a former deputy head of the presidential administration, and most importantly, Viktor Zubkov. Zubkov has access to financial information that could end the career of anyone in the Prime Minister's orbit, including the President.
If a strong president is still a hypothetical, then why would Medvedev stir up trouble by criticizing his own Prime Minister? Or when faced with a financial crisis in which even the brightest of the bright can't predict the end result, critique could be at least a way of transferring blame.
Moscow City has some of the tallest skyscrapers in Europe. The multi-billion-dollar development was meant to be a symbol of Russia's emergence as an economic powerhouse. But a large number of workers have all but disappeared from the site as the global financial crisis began to hit home. Billionaire Sergei Polonsky heads the Mirax Group, one of the country's largest real estate developers. As he led a group of journalists on a tour, Polonsky put on a brave face.
At the moment, our company hasn't especially felt the crisis. Moreover, right now we don't have any loans, either with the Bank for Foreign Trade or with the State Savings Bank.
But the billionaire developer has frozen all projects except those on which construction has already begun. And workers who have already been laid off are out in the cold.
I've lost my job. What more can I say? Construction has been frozen, wages have not been paid for 4 months, and there are no jobs. Whenever I applied, no money was paid, so now I have to go back home.
Having spent weeks predicting the economy would show zero growth or perhaps a small contraction this year, the Economy Ministry now admits it will probably shrink by 2.2%. Russia's unemployment rate rose to 7.7% in December, the highest in 3 years. That, the government said, meant 5.8 million Russians were out of work. For Russia's better-offs, the contraction could mean buying HM instead of McQueen. But for the poor or those living on pensions, it means life or death.
3 куска хлеба в день, 1/5 банана, пол огурца, смотрите, кусок яблока, пол морковки, 2 конфеты. Я смотрю, в других даже меньше. Это вот все, что пенсионер может позволить себе в течение суток.
The government says it's using all possible means to help.
Конечно, развитие социальной сферы России, как и другие развитые экономики мира.
Russia, like other developed economies of the world, has faced a situation with indefinite growth economic factors. But we will do everything possible so that there are no more problems, no more economic collapse like in previous years.
Мы сделаем все, что от нас зависит.
But as unemployment continues to spiral and inflation keeps on galloping, ordinary Russians are wondering what is going on. Polls show that many, over half the population, have little idea of what the government is doing to help them. And the confusion has turned into fury as many took to the street.
Russian leaders promised that they were relatively safe from the crisis, but it turns out that the economy is heading for a U-turn in the country, and they have not hit the bottom yet. The public is confused about what's going on. So it's important to first let people know that the government made a miscalculation, and the president is here to correct it. That is what the criticism is all about.
From St. Petersburg to Moscow, Medvedev and Putin have been through a lot in their political lives. Though their roles may differ, the two share a common dream: to restore Russia as a world superpower. And in that course, both of them understand the importance of unity, because after all, 2 heads are better than 1.
Staying in Moscow, the Kremlin has put aside $200 billion of its reserves to cushion the devaluation of the ruble and to help avoid any public panic. It's also more than $380 billion in foreign reserves. But with over 1,000 key projects eager for state subsidies, it's a pretty small sum. For Medvedev and Putin, easing public discontent may be more pressing than figuring a way out of the financial crisis.